What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Victory Monday rolls on, and we've got some Pro Football Focus stuff to take a look at in this video. You guys know the drill by now. We basically just see what Pro Football Focus has to say, and some of the things they do are objective stats. Some of the things they do are subjective grades. So keep in mind that as we look at these grades, we're going to start with the offense in this video. The Pro Football Focus stuff, sometimes they get it right, sometimes they get it wrong. I'm not here to suggest that they're always right or always wrong. They just do work, and we look at that work and see how we feel about it at the end of the day. So definitely don't take this as an unconditional endorsement of Pro Football Focus, and don't take it as an unabashed bashing of Pro Football Focus. So we're going to start with the offense here. Please like this video. If you haven't already, click the thumbs up button down below. Helps out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Click the bell for notifications. Become a channel member for $2 a month. Those are the best ways to help support the channel. So, offense, looking at just the grading, it's pretty good. Pretty good. It's a relatively normal spread of good to average to bad scores. And I think most of this stuff is within expectations. Number one on offense, JSN. He's kind of becoming every week he's going to lead the PFF grading guy because he does his job so well. And it really came on like a light switch because JSN to me he wasn't a jag, but he was just a good player for the first couple of months of the season. And then after he dropped that ball against the Rams on third down, he's suddenly become really one of the best players in football. And I know his numbers were still good out of the slot before that Rams game and all that, but something is different. And I've wanted the Seahawks to have a player like JSN for a long time, and now they have that player. And I didn't think that I didn't, well, I should say I didn't know if he was going to be that player last year, and I didn't know he was going to be that player earlier this year, but he's done it consistently through several games now. So we got something special here, 84.1, pretty much all obtained through the passing game, of course. What else do you expect? Second place was Charbonnet, which is another easy one. He had the best game of his career. Monstrous game. He grinded out tough yards. He was a good receiver out of the backfield. Actually, Pro Football Focus gives him almost as good a grade for passing plays and pass blocking, for whatever that's worth, as they did on run plays. And he was a special. He looked special out there today. What else do you want from a running back? And bronze medal went to Gino Smith, which, again, he played such a clean game, 80% completion, never put the ball in harm's way, just managed the game flawlessly, took what the defense gave him, and the few opportunities he had to push the ball down the field, he didn't have a lot of success. We'll get to that a little bit later, but hey, really, really good. And this is with 2 penalties, by the way. I still think one of those penalties is BS, the intentional grounding. I think that was a garbage call, but it's impressive that you can get your grade up to about an 80 with 2 penalties. That doesn't happen very much on PFF. So that tells you how clean he was. Laken Tomlinson, good grade, which, hey, in this game, I think I can get behind it. I didn't notice anything negative from Tomlinson in this game. So, not often I say that. I'm usually very critical of Tomlinson, but I do think that the PFF grade roughly matches with what I thought I saw out there. Kenny McIntosh, good game for him. Really excited about that. Maybe we'll see more of him down the line. He brings something to the table that Charbonnet and even K9 I don't think bring. And I'm not sure exactly how we could make it work with him. I don't know if he should be more of like a gadget receiver or a running back, but there's something that he can do to help this team. So that's your top 5. And we still have a couple more players that got noticeably good grades. DK Metcalf, who didn't have a monster game. He did his job. And he made some big catches in this game too. A couple of his catches were big third down conversions to keep eventual scoring drives alive in the second half. Big part of us putting this game away. Charles Cross, well graded, one of his better graded games in a while, and that's with a penalty. So a lot of the things that we thought we saw out there today panned out in the PFF rankings. And at that point, you get down to some of the guys who are a little bit more, on the mediocre side, maybe. Noah Fant, okay, got punished a little bit for this pass block grade, and also he picked up a penalty, but not a bad game for Fant. AJ Barner, kind of the same boat, decent game, workable game. And Farrell Brown. So all three tight ends are basically grouped in together here around the 63 to 65 marker. So these three tight ends, nobody really standing out this week, I guess you could say. I think that the snap counts that we had them on were about appropriate. I think that Barner's just a little too young and has a little bit too limited of a route tree to be able to be a full-time player. But next year, watch out. He could. It's not going to be a JSN like leap, but it could be a nice leap to where he's a really good tight end. And then you got a couple guys down here in the average territory who barely played, so can't really say anything about Halani or Russell. Bobo, again, just hanging around the below average area, just no real impact. Oluwatimi holding on for dear life. Penalty doesn't help, but I don't think Oluwatimi played poorly or anything like that. I think that the whole offensive line played well in this game overall. I do still kind of feel like Oluwatimi should be considered a good backup more than a starter in this league, but we got 4 games left to make that determination, and it's possible the solution's already on the roster in the form of Haynes. He might move to center next year. Lomia, again, below average grade, but not bad. Lomia, I think he got docked pretty significantly for the play where he let Gino get hit. It's like the only time the whole game Gino got hit. But I don't know if I buy this run blocking grade. I thought his run blocking was totally fine. I don't know where they got this from. I'd be very interested to hear their methodology here, but I don't buy it. I think that he was a little bit better than this, personally. Lockett, very poor, makes sense. No catches, 1 target, drop. He had a drop, so it is what it is. He's just getting old, and hopefully he has enough left in the tank for a couple more big moments this year. And look, if it comes to it, I trust that he will be able to deliver when that moment comes. That's all I can say about it. There are not going to be a lot of moments, but when that moment comes, he'll be okay. And then Abe Lucas bringing up the rear here, mostly because of 2 penalties, but they weren't impressed with his play either. 50 pass blocking grade, 40.5 run blocking grade. I don't know about this one. I mean, the run blocking especially, again, like, does this look like the run blocking score array of a team that ran the ball for almost, 180 yards? I don't think so. So, I don't know if I'm buying it. I will admit that Charbonnet played an incredibly good game, and they did give him credit for that, but I don't know. I thought the run blocking was an improvement over previous weeks, and these scores would tell you not really. All right, so let's move along here to Gino Smith's passing chart. Just want to highlight a couple of interesting things here. I mean, the thing that really stands out here is how much he attacked underneath, which is not atypical, but unlike most games that Gino plays, he very rarely took shots down the field, and when he did, he had minimal success. He did have the touchdown to JSN in the end zone, which was a shot out past 20 yards, but that was the only completion he had on 4 attempts, so pushing the ball down the field, minimal success for Gino, but using the middle of the field very well in the intermediate, using the middle of the field very well in the short, very efficient, very effective with short passes, and also 7 passes behind the line of scrimmage. Pretty productive on them, by the way, too. Like, not huge plays, but good all-around solid plays that are getting the job done and helping this team win games. It's a nice chart. So this is the Gino Smith that I think will make a lot of people happy. If he can just be efficient, effective, not turn it over, no negative plays, I don't think anybody's going to really have anything to criticize with him. So the only way we can allow that to happen, of course, is if we continue to run the ball well and play good defense, or else he'll have to put on the Superman cape, and that's when the variance comes in. I want to go to the receiving chart here real quick to point out a few things. If you scroll down on the receiving versus coverage page, you can get to like matchups against specific players. And this was another week where I thought the offense did a good job attacking particular weaknesses in coverage, like Mac Wilson, who is a linebacker, a weak side linebacker for the Cardinals. You can see how much success we had when targeting him in coverage with different players. There was JSN, there was Metcalf, Barner, McIntosh, Charbonnet. 6 total targets, 70 yards. So we attacked Mac Wilson Jr. with players that he just doesn't stack up well with, and look at how much success we had. And Kaiser White, another linebacker. We attacked him a little bit with Fant, with Metcalf, with JSN, with Charbonnet. 4 targets, 42 yards on 4 catches. And also, I'll give it up to Seattle's receivers for just plain beating Garrett Williams, who had that pick of Gino in the end zone in the first game we played them. This game, JSN, 2 targets, 2 catches, 43 yards. Charbonnet had an 8-yard catch on him. Fant had a 7-yard catch on him. So finding those weaknesses that you can exploit and exploiting them. And in the case of Garrett Williams, who is a pretty good player, just plain beating him. So that's the stuff that I like to see. That's the stuff that is going to give me confidence in Ryan Grubb going into 2025. Because again, I'm gonna let him show me what he can do over these last 4 games. Rushing direction, just taking a look at the areas where the Seahawks had the most success running the ball. As you can see, it's almost all positive this week. The jet sweep we had to the left was only 1 yard, but it was a touchdown, so that's kind of unfair to look at. And the only areas where we had a clear issue were middle right. So that would be between Oluwatimi and Lomia. Maybe that's why Lomia had a bad run blocking grade, but I don't think football's quite that simple sometimes. And you can see that pretty much everywhere else it was good. Off left end. So that's on the outside of the left side tight end, 7.3 yards per. Between the tight end on the left side and cross, 6.4. Left guard. Now this is skewed because we had a 52-yard, no, this was a 51, yard rushing touchdown, but still came out looking very good. I will say that if you take that 51-yard touchdown out, it's actually negative yards on 4 carries, so there's a consistency problem, but I will happily take that 51-yarder and deal with the rest. Middle left, productive, very solid, very productive. Right guard, only 1 attempt, but 9 yards. Off right tackle, 6 yards per carry. So the only thing that didn't work on some level in this game really was the middle right. So unlike most weeks where we're just trying to find the one thing that worked, here we find the one thing that didn't work, and everything else worked. So that's cool. Pass protection, going to be pretty clean this week because Gino didn't get sacked once. And according to Pro Football Focus, only one QB hit where an offensive lineman was pinned with the blame, and it was Lomia. This might be the intentional grounding. I'm not sure. But Lomia did blow his block on that play and lead to the intentional grounding. That may be where this comes from. But everything else is just a pressure. Cross allows 2 pressures. Tomlinson allows 1 pressure. Oluwatimi allows 1. Fan allows 1. And Lucas, this is part of the problem here, did allow 3 pressures. So that's where the poor grading kind of comes in here. But I don't think hurries are nearly as big a concern from PFF as they are from other sites. Like, PFF gives pressures for everything. We've seen this. So I look at this and I go, okay, he wasn't as good as the other players, but I'm also not sweating it when he allowed no QB hits and no sacks. So pretty good pass protection. Like, Lomia was about average, which, by the way, from a 6th-round rookie, that's all we should expect, reasonably. And then Lucas was kind of bad because, okay, sure, I get it. And run blocking, I do really want to talk about this. This might warrant its own video at some point. Look at this. Barely any zone compared to gap blocking schemes. Look at this. We, the starting offensive lineman on this team, 10 zone run blocking snaps, 21 gap run blocking snaps. This is a clear shift over the last 2 weeks, and even though the numbers were not good in that Jets game, it is worth noting that the Seahawks did actually build a little bit of a run game against the Jets that just got wiped out by some big negative plays. So maybe this is the answer, and I'll tell you, it doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Charles Cross is clearly built to be a zone blocker. So is Oluwatimi. For the most part, so is Lucas, and Lomia should be able to kind of do both. The only offensive lineman on this team that should be built to do gap blocking schemes is Tomlinson. But if you look at this, it seems like the team is going, look, we need to start going to gap. And look at the percentages. They're pretty definitive. So that might warrant its own video later this week, but it's worth noting this team is trying something different with a run game, it seems like it might be working. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. That is PFF on the offensive side.